Hey guys, so this is our second episode of Geeks Creed. I am Taylor Fields here, and I'm joined by my special guest and friend Reuben Olson. And today we're going to be talking a little bit more about Assassin's Creed. So I guess we'll start with, what did you think of the trailer?
Well, what I thought of the trailer is it started out really, really good, obviously up until the whole Kanye West thing. But as far as it goes for being an Assassin's Creed movie, the trailer gives me hope that they'll do it right. Kind of going back to the Prince of Persia, how that movie worked out. That was another Ubisoft platform there, and that movie was enjoyable and fun. And if they're totally in control of it this time around, it could turn out to be a blockbuster.
Mm-hmm. I hope it could turn out to be a blockbuster indeed. They definitely have. I'm glad that they've got so much creative control on the project. In the first episode we did at Geeks Creed, me and Travis covered the whole. Went in depth with the trailer and just covered everything. But there's been a lot of new revelations now, and one in particular. And I wasn't gonna say this to you before offcast, but they said that there's going to be 35% of the story is in the past and 65% is in the present. And I was wondering how you felt about that.
Having it in the present is fine, so long as they don't focus too much on the past character's development. If they start giving this character development for everything going on in Spain, I'm going to want to see what's going on there more. Because that is a more interesting setting to me than the futuristic, abstergo, everything that's going on in the virtual reality type setting. I don't want to see that just based off the trailer alone. I want to see Spain right now. But if the movie starts and they give us interesting character development in the present, I will be hooked on that, and I won't care as much about the past. So it depends on what direction they take it, character development wise.
See, when I was looking at a lot of comments too, and of course other podcasters in GeekVerse were sharing pictures and stuff of a lot of negative comments about saying how people wanted to see more of the past. I said the same thing you did. Like, the main character is the present day Michael Fassbender. It's not the past Aguilar, and if you get too connected to him, then you're not going to want to follow the present when it's about the present. And I mean, in the games, we're so used to spending more time in the past because, of course, it's a game. They have that luxury of time.
There was always that point in the game, though, too, where I was just really looking forward to playing as our present-day characters with assassin abilities. And if that's what they're going to do with the movies, I'm all for it. Because they can take that direction with the movies, and they can just have us play as the past characters in the games.
So do you think, are you worried about other people who aren't fans of the series? Like, do you think that this whole not being in the past as much and more in the present, do you think that might deter people, like people who aren't fans?
No, I think it'll attract some of them, actually.
Yeah?
There's going to be people who don't know and just don't play about video games or like anything like that. They're not into it. They don't want to play the games, but they'll go and they'll see the movie. And opening with present-day characters, that's how they're going to stick to the plot. They're going to want to watch those characters that the movie starts off with, because it's probably not going to start off in the past. And I think that'll just be easier for them to get into. I don't know how to word it, really. But if it jumps too far, like, into the past and gives us the development, that could ruin it, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the topic of Michael Fassbender, I think they really missed a great opportunity. In some of his past movies, he has played Frank in the movie Frank. He has played Steve Jobs in the movie Steve Jobs. And he has played Macbeth in Macbeth. So I was really sad to find out that his name as the character in this movie is Callum Link and not Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, the whole movie's gonna bomb now.
That's it, guys. It's over.
It's over. What is this movie, Frank? I've actually never heard of that before.
I haven't actually seen it. I just looked it up on IMDb.
Yeah, then you should probably pitch that to Ubisoft. Be like, okay, in your sequel, figure out some way to incorporate his new name is actually Assassin's Creed. That's his name.
Well, I mean, how else are they going to do a title drop? Like, wow, Callum Link, you really are the Assassin's Creed 2016 movie edition. The IMAX experience.
That would set it up perfectly. You are the Assassin's Creed 2016 edition. His name, Aguilar, at least they got the one letter right, because, like, Aguilar starts with an A, and that A starts with, Assassin's Creed starts with the A, so that kind of works there.
Aguilar's Creed.
Yeah, Aguilar's Creed. Creed. Creed.
I was looking at the director, and honestly, the director, the writers, the screenplays, everything just seems to come back to Exodus, Gods and Kings. That's the only thing I recognize.
Did he work on Gods and Kings, Exodus?
I don't know if the director did, but the screenplays, the people that wrote it, that was their previous experience. They haven't had anything else that I've seen personally that I have heard about. Everything on that list, from what I saw, was teeny tiny, so I'm a little bit worried about that.
Have you
director,
seen Exodus? Like, do you know if what they did was really good work?
I've seen like some trailers and some little bits and pieces on TV, and it looked
Mm-hmm.
interesting to me. It wasn't something that I watched,
Mm-hmm.
but it did look a lot like the Assassin's Creed movie looks like in the trailer.
Mm-hmm. The scenery and such, yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that I found interesting was in the interview with the CEO of Paris Ubisoft Motion Pictures. She states that their upcoming movies, in plural, implying that we'll have more than just this one Assassin's Creed movie. So they could take it from like the present day characters and expand upon it more. Or if they do the character development in the past, they could maybe even end that on a cliffhanger, leave us hanging on the past characters, continue the present day characters, and resolve the past stuff in like a sequel or something. That could be okay. That might work out, but I think the big point of that topic is that there isn't just going to be the one movie.
Mm-hmm.
They're already planning to make more.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that's based on whether this movie will be good, or do you think they're just going to make it even if this movie doesn't reach its mark?
I think Ubisoft has the resources for it. They're already doing like the Assassin's Creed thing on a yearly basis. They're trying to turn it into their own Call of Duty,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a whole other topic in itself. But whether that's good or bad, but they can afford to have their games flop. They can afford to experiment,
Mm-hmm.
and they can afford to just stick to the one idea they have and keep churning out a new game like Pokemon does.
Mm-hmm.
They can keep doing the same thing over and over again, and they're not losing their fan base like yet.
So do you think, because they took a year off for the game, I mean, they said so they could focus on the advertising for the movie. Would you have liked to have seen a game, do you think, with this movie, or do you think that'd be way too much, or?
That would have been too much.
Mhm.
I do like that they're departing a little bit this year, and that just kind of shows that they're open to experimentation here, which is what I want to see in the first place. If they were just making another game and not a movie, I wouldn't even be thinking about it right now, obviously. But the fact that they're taking the break shows that they're not afraid to go and try something new.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what gives me hope for the Assassin's Creed universe.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause from a gameplay perspective, I do feel like they were just starting to get a little bit stale. Then they added in the multiplayer, and that was a whole cool new experience. But those were some buggy releases and stuff too going on there. So I'm glad they're taking a break from it.
Do you mean the multiplayer back in, like, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, like, online, or do you
Oh
mean
no,
multiplayer,
no,
like, co-op
the
from
co-op,
Unity?
yes.
Okay.
I should have elaborated on that. The whole co-op experience was something that I kind of wish the other games had. I did play the multiplayer in like Assassin's Creed 3. That was pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
I actually really enjoyed that.
Yeah, the way they did do that multiplayer was pretty interesting. I definitely wish they had co-op, because that fits the profile of Assassin's Creed really, really well. It's all based on a brotherhood, really.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing to the trailer. I love that one scene where you see Michael Fassbender's assassin and you see the other assassins with him. They have that really good feeling from the game in there, that they're all a brotherhood.
They're all part of the same thing.
Yeah.
There's a connection and a bond there almost.
Exactly. So with this movie and Ubisoft having their complete creative control on it, compared to Prince of Persia, I don't even remember if the trailer for Prince of Persia had the Ubisoft logo on it even.
No,
It didn't. Okay.
it didn't.
So they obviously did not have much say with that. Do you think they regret that?
Considering how the movie did turn out, I don't think they regret it too much. It did get them some money. I think that's what they were concerned about.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a big hit. You don't see it still. You don't see people talking about Prince of Persia anymore. Especially now with Assassin's Creed being its spiritual successor. I mean, Prince of Persia is kind of over. But I think if Assassin's Creed didn't exist, they would have been making more movies for Prince of Persia.
Really?
They would have explored it more.
Mm-hmm. So do you think with Assassin's Creed, do you think they've learned a lot from the mistakes? Like some of them that
They've
they
had a
made?
lot of time to fix their mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
They built up all the Prince of Persia games. They went through those. They made their spiritual successor, Assassin's Creed. They're churning out more and more Assassin's Creed games. And now with the movie and them actually being in control, that's how they're fixing their mistakes right now. They're going, okay, no, we want to control the situation. We want it to be good.
I'm kind of worried though, because I've heard a lot of people say like, oh, if the movie doesn't do a very good job, they did already announce that the next Assassin's Creed is coming out in 2017. That's when they're planning to release it. But if the movie does bad, then that will devastate a lot of the hype for the next game. Do you think that would too?
They will lose a little bit of their audience, but I think the fans are into the games enough to keep going. If the movie does flop, then I think their best bet is just to really market the next game.
Mm-hmm.
Really get the attention focused back on it. They may have to, I don't know anything about the next game, but they could change some of the details, try to experiment with it more, and just change up the gameplay. That'll get people's attention. And that's all they need to do to get their fan base back if the movie flops.
So, which Assassin's Creeds have you played? I can't remember.
I have played completely through number 1, 100% in number 2. I have played a little bit of number 3 on my old computer, because I couldn't play the whole game. It was too slow for me at some points, frame rates and stuff. I had to drop that, picked up Assassin's Creed 4 on PS3, and I just went completely off the charts. Like, I played for hours and hours, not through the story, just through everything else in the game. I never finished the story, but I did play number 4 for like 30-some hours. And beyond that, I played through the PSP Assassin's Creed. Have you played that?
PSP, is that Bloodlines or Liberation?
No, not Liberations. I think that was the Vita one, right?
Oh, yeah, that is the Vita. So
The
it'd
PSP
be
one.
Bloodlines.
The PSP one was the one with the really bad, like, overhead Diablo-esque graphics. And you had to follow, like, the little glowing markers on a straight path. It was very linear.
My gosh, that is old school.
I have played all of that game.
Really?
Yes.
Probably one of the very, very few.
I wouldn't doubt that.
So then, out of all the ones that you have played, which is your favorite, probably, would you say?
Well, I'm going to go with a boring opinion and just say number 2.
Number 2. Okay.
That one stuck with me the most because of the opening and the story. Gameplay-wise, though, I do prefer 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I could agree with that too. The second one definitely opened so many doors, and it was a huge change from the first game. And I think a lot of people really want to see the next game kind of go back to that and such.
They need to give us a new character who's going to stick through a few games, who's going to have interesting character development, who kind of has that rise where they turn into a hero. That was Assassin's Creed 2. You felt like a nobody, and in the past gameplay, you formed yourself up into Ezio, and you were awesome. You felt good as a player to be playing as that character in that universe. Assassin's Creed 3 lost that completely. They still had like our present day character, but when they went to the past and they gave us the new characters, it was gone. Everything that you built up was stripped away from you.
You're exactly right. 'Cause Ezio, I think out of all the characters, Ezio was definitely the most prime character that you could really get connected with, because literally you had to play with him as soon as he was born as a baby. You actually had to hit the buttons to move as a baby, and then
That is a cheap way to get player interaction there, yeah.
I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. That gets you connected, and his integration into the storyline into the Creed itself is really, really impressive. And yeah, you're absolutely right. With Connor, he just totally just dropped the ball. You didn't even know what he was following, like, story-wise. He seemed like such a lost cause, really, at times.
To me, Assassin's Creed 3 was advertised as like, look, you can run around on treetops. We're going to cut that. You can run around on treetops and go hunting. It's not really Assassin's Creed to me, but okay, so I tried it and it didn't work out.
I didn't mind that aspect because it really incorporated more of an open-world feeling, which I did enjoy for Assassin's Creed, because I mean, when you look at the setting they went to, like the frontier kind of area, like 1800s or 1700s, I can't remember, but it would have had hunting and stuff like that. But I didn't want it to be more of like a Skyrim kind of feeling open world.
Oh, God,
definitely
no.
not. I mean, that's probably a very big exaggeration. But I don't like the whole hunting and like just selling your pelts and stuff like that. I like more like hunting for what you need and then using it to upgrade your armor kind of thing, like Black Flag did. I like that aspect. But I do hope that with the next game, they do go back to their roots and kind of get you, as you said, attached to a character like Ezio.
Yes, and that's honestly what I'm hoping the movie will do to us. They'll get us attached to the present-day character, and if they go for the sequels, they can start getting us attached to the past character as well. If they drop the Spain setting and the characters they build up in the first movie, and stick with the present-day character and change the past character in every sequel, I can't see the movies working out as well as they could.
Do you think with that 35% being in the past, or that past character, and 65% being the present-day character, that percentage being so low for the past, do you think that's setting it up so that they will shift to a different past assassin in the next movie, if they do that?
They could do that. That would be a very cheap tactic. They could end movie number 1 on a cliffhanger in present day. Really make us want a sequel. And then while they prep the third movie to finish up the present day story, they would just explore the past in the second movie.
Well, that's not a bad idea. But do you think that would shift a lot of people from they wouldn't want to explore the present day character anymore if it was just focused on the past?
It depends on how powerful it is in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
What's that cliffhanger going to be like? Is like main character going to get shot and as he reveals a big plot twist?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it going to be something simple like he just stands up and go, it's time to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Pulls out some hidden blades and starts going all assassin mode in present day and then the movie ends?
Mm-hmm.
That won't be as powerful.
They did show a lot of that in the trailer. Like, some parts it looked like he was escaping, but it also showed him training with a few other subjects, I'm going to call them.
Targets.
Yeah, targets. Do you think that because if he escapes, that leaves it open, kind of like it's kind of going to be resembling like the Assassin's Creed 1 game, because they got him, he doesn't know what's going on, just like Desmond in the first game, and they're doing these tests, and then it looks like he escapes. I don't know at what part in the film, but you could see that one scene, all those soldiers walking,
Yeah.
and then there was the explosions, and they're doing flips, all this kung fu stuff.
That's a lot more than what the first game did for escaping.
Yeah,
I
he
remember
didn't
it
even
ending.
escape in the first
It was
game.
just eagle vision at the end and conspiracies, and you're like, oh,
That's what I worked for.
yep.
Yeah, no, that was how the second one began, which was nice. But do you think it'll kind of follow then Desmond's kind of storyline in that regard then, if he escapes at the end of the movie and then
Well-
he goes and plays a new assassin and he's doing the Animus somewhere else?
I don't think they're going to follow the games that closely because in that interview where they talk about movies as plural, they also said that they're not going to follow a similar plot to the games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they said they're going for something different, so it really depends on how they do it. I mean, it could end up being a similar concept maybe, but it's going to be radically different in its outcome or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's a good thing that they didn't do a story? Like, I know so many people that were so upset that the fact that, oh, why isn't it Ezio on the screen? Why aren't we seeing him?
To be honest, part of me would have liked that, but I can see why they did it. You don't want to follow a rehash of the games. You're not going to want your fans to know what's going to happen. You want to grab attention from new and old people with a new story that everyone can get into together. You want the new fans who haven't played the games to be able to talk about the movie to the fans of the games.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get that connection going to make the movie really, really popular.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have that disconnect of following a game story, you have all the people that played the game going, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen next. They talk about it, they spoil it for the new people, or they act all elite. And then the new people kind of just fade away and they go, oh, the movie was okay, I suppose. But
Do
I
you-
hear the game is better.
Do you think it would also set the bar really high for a character already so well established? Like most movies that are made from books, for example, people already know the character and the story. It's already so so high esteemed or whatever. Do you think if they were to try and do a character already, that would ruin it in that regard?
The only thing that could really ruin the movie to me is escort missions.
Yeah, that is true. It would turn it probably to an 18A movie, and then we probably wouldn't get any young fan base in there.
That's not quite what I meant, but
Oh. Well, tell me, what did you mean then?
we'll just watch the main character go back in time to his past self, and you'll have to like escort someone through a city or town while eavesdropping on other people, and this be a slow walk.
Oh,
20 minutes of walking and following
Okay.
someone.
I thought you meant courtesan missions. Oh, I was way off. Yeah, I could see that being a bit of a problem. Sitting on the bench for a good 5 minutes.
But it would make the movie for me if they drop a joke about it in there.
Mm-hmm.
If the main character in the past can play a little joke on an escort mission of some kind, maybe he doesn't want to go do something, but he's offered that kind of a job, I would love that.
I could see them doing something like that. I mean, this is the first movie that Ubisoft has that they've got creative control on, and with how much they have a lot of humor in the games, so I don't see why they wouldn't put that on the film too.
Yeah.
You think that do you think it's a bad thing that the movie isn't following the storyline of a character like Ezio, isn't following the game? Do you think the hype is like? Do you think it wouldn't be able to reach the same bar that's already been set by Assassin's Creed 2's Ezio or whatever? Like, because most of the assassins already have set like a high bar for themselves, and if you were to try to incorporate that into a movie, it might not reach that bar
Because they're
books don't.
focusing on the present, though, so much. We're not going to live up to any of the past characters in the games.
Mm-hmm.
I highly, highly doubt they're going to develop a good, strong character in the first movie in the past setting.
Well, there's definitely a lot to cover too. I mean, to condense it in an hour and a half.
The best they can do is live up to the initial story of Desmond. They can build a character like him with our new main character, Callum, and build it up to his finding about the conspiracies and getting the assassin's abilities, make him a strong character. They can live up to that hype from the games.
Mm-hmm.
But they're definitely not going to do an Ezio thing and make us feel great about that character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I have a bit of a spoiler here, and I know it's a spoiler because when I put it on my Assassin's Creed page, some people said spoilers.
Uh-oh.
But the thing is, I wrote spoiler in the title. I guess they didn't see that because the spoiler was hidden by the see more option. So they hit see more and then spoilers. Spoiler warning pops up. But all the
so for the people crazy enough to hear a spoiler, we'll play the section backwards, and then they can reverse it in their audio editors, and they can hear it proper.
That sounds like a good idea.
Okay, guys, time for some backmasking here.
We'll give you like 5 seconds to get ready. But it has to do with the Apple of Eden. That's a spoiler alert. So, basically, where did I write it? I wrote it on the Assassin's Creed page. I can't remember it word for word, but basically, they did confirm that you will see in several parts of the movie the apple. It will have an appearance. In what way, they did not go into at all. I do like that they are doing that as well, having some piece of Eden in there. But it makes me wonder if they are going to go into like the ones who came before. Do you know a lot about that storyline?
Oh yeah, I've read a lot about it.
Okay.
I think it's interesting that they're going to incorporate that too now that you said that. I'm actually happy to hear that.
Yeah?
It always had like a Da Vinci Code type feel to me when they did that in the games.
Mm-hmm.
And to see that happen in the movies, they can re-explore it. They can change it up maybe, or just do whatever they want with it. Because they said they don't want to follow the game stories, but if they're introducing the whole Eden aspect, that is very similar to the games, and obviously this is in the same universe.
Yeah.
We're going to have to see how they change it up or just connect it in some way to the games.
Yeah, absolutely. I am glad that, like you said, that what you were reading earlier, how it's not going to be focusing on any of the games or whatever. Do you think they might have... Because they did say we'll see some familiar faces, and like Jeremy Irons, he plays Alan Rickman in there, and you see him briefly in the trailer. He is a character from the games. Do you think that you might hear nods of other characters we might know, like Ezio? You think that you might hear them mention his name, like...
I think they could if they're following the same timeline. If this is a spin-off, in a sense, of the story where they're rebooting it for the movies and changing things up, I'm not sure exactly what they're going to do, but they might throw in a few hints or maybe a cameo for the fans. I'm fine with either, to be honest.
In that one scene with the wrist blades in the display case, the one wrist blade on the far left actually looks identical to Ezio's. It actually has like the same, because his has like the assassin symbol on the wrist, and you can actually look and you can actually see that symbol on the gauntlet part, which is neat. But that could be from anything. It might just be pure coincidence. I don't know. I like to think it's a little nod towards the fans.
We won't find out probably until the movies come out.
Yeah, we won't. I do know, like, I already pre-ordered my tickets for the movie. For those who pre-ordered through, I think it's Kernel, they give you the whole script for the movie, a digital copy of it, which is very, very kind of odd, but I mean, I'll give it a read.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like, how soon do you get that?
It comes out the day of the movie.
Oh,
Not
okay.
not beforehand.
I was gonna say, like, who would do that before the movie would come out?
Yeah.
I was really hyped for a second there.
No, yeah, it's definitely on the day of the movie. But it's cool, because, you know, maybe I can reenact my own Assassin's Creed movie with their...
You can do your own spin on it.
Yeah, my own spin on it.
You can have all the escort missions you want.
Yeah, there you go. I also found out that the PS Vita version of Assassin's Creed, the Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation game, there was a character in there. I never played Liberation. I wish I did, but there's a character in there, and his name is Baptiste, and he's a voodoo assassin, which is really cool. He's like African and all that, and I can't remember where he came from in the game, but he left the Creed, and he forms his own cult. And apparently...
More like Assassin's Greed.
Assassin's Greed. That's a good hashtag. Assassin's Greed. So he leaves the Creed, forms his own greed. But apparently, I can't remember. I think the actor's name is Michael K. Williams. and I don't recognize any of the stuff he's done before. But when they brought him on, he didn't know anything about Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
But he seemed really, really interested in it, and I'm glad to see an actor get into that and not just be like, oh, I don't know. But the fact that they're having this assassin who was in Assassin's Creed 3, I wonder if they'll have nods even, again, like maybe to Connor or something like that, because that was in the same storyline, or if it will be more, if they're going to have Baptiste kind of change and have him not be in that timeline, but have him be more like, there's 5 subjects. Like when you see Michael Fassbender standing there, you can see the other assassins behind him, and I'm pretty sure one of them was Michael K. Williams. But I'm wondering if they all go back and actually, because they all go back to their ancestor, if they're going back to different ancestors in different parts of time, or if they're going back to their ancestors that were all together in the past.
Ooh, that would be really cool, actually, if they could interact in some way in the past, knowing that they're from the present all together. Oh.
I think it would make it very, very complicated, but it could pull off well.
It'd be more like a soap opera at that point.
Soap opera,
You could have the relationships, like, in the past, and their relationships in the present. Like, hey, these 2 people are together in the present, but when they go back in time, canonically, they're with someone else, and they fall in love with that other person in the past. And there's this huge mess of love triangles. But that's not Assassin's Creed. That's not what the movie is.
No,
but that's what I would love to see.
When we get the script, we'll make a few alterations. But yeah, so I think it's pretty cool how they have a voodoo assassin. They actually detailed his set, and they had like little just voodoo stuff. I don't do voodoo, so I don't know what kind of voodoo stuff you'd have.
Neither do I. But
it had some pretty cool decorative stuff in his little area, and that was in the Abstergo facility, I guess. In the trailer, when Michael Fassbender's walking, and it's like that weird garden kind of place, and he's like, "What is this?" Do you think that he is inside the Animus at that point? Because
the loading screen?
Like the loading screen, yeah, because in Assassin's Creed Revelations, Desmond his mind got stuck in the Animus, and he was actually like on this island in the loading screen with the ocean around him, with trees and stuff like that. Do you think that's kind of where he is? Waiting to load?
Actually, I would say that's pretty accurate. That's probably what they're doing there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A lot of people seem to think, a lot of people just didn't like the fact, like, oh, this is a prison or whatever. They didn't think that really fit in with it. Or, like, why does Abstergo have trees in a weird loading kind of environment?
No, the plot twist will be that the prison is inside the Animus, and they'll zoom out. And the present-day character is actually someone totally different exploring the past of Abstergo, who's exploring the past of the Spanish character here.
I do like that. That is an interesting concept.
That's your plot twist for the end of the movie. I'm calling it, folks. That's what we need.
We'll have to re-listen to this podcast right when the movie is finished playing. We'll be like, yep, Reuben called it. That's the exact twist right there.
And if that's correct, you owe me a 50-pack of Timbits, solely of those little white ones with the jelly inside. That's what I want.
Well, I can try my best. I don't know if Tim Hortons would have actually 50 of them on hand, but I can try. Maybe I'll hit up like 3 Tim Hortons and just pile them in.
Okay, that works for me.
Do you think Spanish Inquisition was a good time period?
No one expected it.
That's for sure. That's for dang sure. I don't think anyone really knows what was going on back then in the Spanish Inquisition. I don't remember that part of history class personally.
Well, I know there were pythons and a guy named Monty. No. That's not correct.
Oh, the arm. That's something I wanted to ask you. What did you think of the giant robotic arm that was lifted up?
That did get me a little bit.
Really?
I mean, I'm all for changing things up so long as it's good. But that was too much. Just for the trailer alone. If they expand on it, like, if they make the main character have to replicate his ancestors' movements for the training, that makes sense. They're building up his muscle memory in his current body to try and replicate what the assassin did in the past. That works out. But in the trailer, all they show us is this giant arm out of nowhere grabbing this guy, and that just, it stands out as being really odd when you're trying to picture the Animus when the trailer begins. You're trying to picture how they're going to do it, and then they show you this big arm. It's jarring.
So there actually was that one part at the end, he did his leap of faith, and then he lands like this, and he's got the arm still attached to him. Do you think it is then kind of building up his muscle memory in that regard?
Due to that scene, yeah, that must be it, honestly. But the way he lands, like for the eagle dive in the past, the trailer goes to him landing Iron Man style. I want to know how that happens in the past if they cut to that scene. Did he land in like a bale of hay?
Well, it wasn't from doing his full-on leap of faith. It was him jumping over the roof.
Oh, that's where they put it.
And then
Okay,
he
yeah,
lands. Yeah. No, if he lands like that from a 120-foot
There's
drop, that's kind of, I don't know.
It's like in the present day, they cut to it like a joke. Like you go to the assassin, he's falling really, really fast at incredibly high speeds. There's like the eagle sound effect. There's a bale of hay stuff in the distance. And then they come to the present, and because the room is only so big, you actually see the VR machine, the arms going really slow, moving down, kind of at a steady pace. Some of the guys below are like humming and hawing and yawning, and they're just kind of waiting for him. And the guy in the arm is like really intense. Like he looks like he's falling fast, but we see him moving slow, and they can stop the music, they can have a joke. They'll cut back to the assassin falling really, really, really fast. Just before he hits the bale of hay, they'll cut back to the present. They'll show the staff in Abstergo, like, looking around frantically for a cart with some hay in it. They'll wheel it around the corner, put him under it, and he will gently fall in, like a baby being put down to sleep. And then they'll cut back to the assassin. Boom! Hay exploding everywhere.
Do you think they would stand underneath him with a fan? As he's slowly descending, they'll have a guy there with a fan blowing his hair up to make him feel like he's falling?
Yeah, they don't even need any special effects for it. They just go to their set with the green screen. They get all their equipment, and they just film that. That's all they need.
That was a nice thing, especially that they were really trying to stay away from using a lot of CGI. I think they said that arm is really the only CGI scene you will see throughout the whole movie.
I want to see the quote at the end. Yeah, we actually threw people off buildings for this. People were harmed in the making of this film.
That would make it much more enjoyable. I mean, I hope they're all okay, but I mean, just to see, because you know that they went and broke their backs over this movie. Some of the parts of the trailer where they're doing that parkour and they're climbing up the building sends shivers down my spine. Like, Prince of Persia had some pretty cool parkour stuff, like jumping over a roof, but I mean, that's pretty cool when you see the assassins climbing together and, like, in the sewer, and it's just that 120-foot drop at the end. That sold me.
Yeah, well, if they didn't do the drop, it would not be Assassin's Creed. They had to do that. That is the signature move. When you think of Assassin's Creed, you think of the hood, the blades, and the eagle dive, or the drop, or I don't really know the exact term for it anymore. It's been a while.
Faith.
The leap of faith.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. And if they didn't do that, everyone would be stuck on their own leap of faith, wondering where they left it. Like, what's going on,
Well
guys?
said. Do you think, because in the trailer, you don't really see what's underneath them, because it is a bit blurry, kind of, but as he's jumping off, you just see smoke and just, it's very dusty down below, and you see kind of like canvases and stuff. You don't actually see that bale of hay. So, are you worried? Do you think he's just taking a chance, hoping there's a bale of hay down there?
They better show something beforehand, because if he jumps off the top of that building without actually knowing what's on the bottom, I will freak.
Yeah?
I can't handle that kind of detail in movies. No. They need to show what's down there beforehand.
Yeah?
They need to set up that scene, because if they don't set it up, then it's just, what do you call that term? When you're just suspending your disbelief or whatever.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
It's for movies that are really, really wacky and out there, and there's something crazy going on, and it doesn't click with your mind. And the only way to properly enjoy it is just
comprehend?
I think it's just suspending your disbelief. I think that is the term.
So you wouldn't think it's like, what if he's being chased by guards and he just has to do it quick and jump off? Like in the games, you
Would
see...
you? I'm sorry, but would you? You're being chased by guards, and it's either get cut to death, maybe it's really quick, who knows, you could just die there on the spot peacefully, or would you rather suffer a 250-foot drop of screaming and pain and a crunching bone landing?
It depends. If I was a trained assassin and I have survived and done crazy parkour stuff, I might feel like... Have you seen the other guys with Samuel Jackson and Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg? Have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't.
Well, for some reason, Samuel Jackson is a cop, and I can't remember the name of his partner, but him and his partner jump off a building at the beginning for no apparent reason, chasing a robber, and they die. They just smash into the cement and they die. So, if I reached a point like them where I've survived so much possible death outcomes and have done so much parkour, I might just take that chance and jump off that building, thinking I will land in something down below. But in the game aspect, if they're trying to go for the game, most of the time you jump off buildings and you're always landing in the hay and you're hiding from the guards. But if he's just doing it in the movie sense, I don't know why he would really go up there in the first place, because you can't even see if you're up there, unless he's using eagle vision, I don't know, but if you're up there, you'd have to have damn good eyes to see 120 feet down and like 250 feet outwards to spot your target. And even then,
Yeah.
why would you waste an hour climbing up the freaking building?
Well, it's your vantage point, I suppose. If you have the eagle vision, it's probably worth it.
I
Without it,
guess so.
without it, it's just a big waste of time.
Yeah. Do you think most of the 35% will be him climbing that building?
Oh my goodness. It'll just be exactly what we saw in the trailer, but extended.
Do you worry that a lot of the 35% was actually shown in the trailer? Because they did show a lot of the past in the trailer. I think a lot more than the present did.
They really did, and that's probably going to throw a lot of people off who haven't heard about the percentage.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go into that theater, they're going to expect this cool history background of Spaniards and Spain, assassins and stuff, but they're going to get the present day story. Yeah, I don't know, man.
See, that was actually another reason why there was so much hate surrounding that. When the executive, I think it was the executive producer on the movie, he came forward and for some reason he wanted to tell people that, yeah, we're to have 35% in the past and 65%
He probably
in the
saw
present.
that. Maybe, was that after the trailer was made?
It was after the trailer, yeah.
Yeah, he probably kind of noticed that and thought, I don't want people to get their expectations wrong. I better go fix this.
Do you think that was good or bad? Because I know a lot of people, including some of the podcast members, their hype is gone now because of that alone.
Because that's what they didn't do. They didn't do that already for the movie, and they don't have the time to go back and change it and focus on the past.
Mm-hmm.
That's their only option, is to get people's expectations lowered. So when they do go see the movie, it'll be better than they expected. If they didn't say anything, they could go into the movie and be completely and utterly disappointed.
Mm-hmm. Don't you think that's taking a chance, though, of just like, if there's already people that are kind of on the fence about it and they do that, they might lose a lot of people that were, as I said, on the fence, and they may just like, oh, that's done, and I'm not even going to go see it. Do you think that would lose a lot of fan base?
I want to say that they were pretty honest coming out with that percentage. I want to say that's going to keep more people. That would keep me interested.
Mm-hmm.
Having someone come forward and say, actually, it's kind of going to be like this. I'm thinking, oh, okay, cool. Well, they're telling us that right now. I know what to expect, and I can imagine how good they could possibly make that aspect of the movie now.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before, if I'm expecting the past, I would go, okay, yeah, I'm going to go in this theater. I'm expecting all this completely different stuff. I want character development here and there, and it's nothing like that. It's not going to register with me. It's not going to click.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that they did it. But as for the rest of the fan base, it might give them time to adjust, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't picture them losing that many people over it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me.
Do you think it was something that should have been said before they dropped the trailer or after?
Yes, it should have been done before. That would have fixed it. Or they would have just had more of a focus on the present in the trailer. If they could go back in time and change that, that would have fixed it all right there.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking too, like, because that was a big negative bit of news. I'm thinking that if they could easily just release some really positive kind of news about the film right now, or even another trailer, and I would think that that would get the hype going back up, and people would just drop this 35-65% thing.
It depends on what they show. They got to show something really cool and new in the second trailer to get the hype back from those people.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, the first trailer, it established, like, okay, you have, like, this guy here, you have what's going on with him, he's going in the past, he's accessing his memories, and that's it. It didn't really go too much into the fact that there's Templars, there's Assassins, there's those who came before, Pieces of Eden, or anything. Do you think that would be something they would show in the next trailer and get a bit more hype for?
They could, actually. If they focus on the Eden thing, I think that would build up a lot more hype.
Would you be afraid it'd be too much of a spoiler, though, from the actual movie?
Well, so long as it's not like a last-minute plot twist.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's that has played the game, they already know about the Eden thing. That would only be a spoiler to the new people. Or people that think they're not going to include it in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So they could show it. I think they could get away with that.
Compared to other movie trailers like Batman vs. Superman's trailer, where it showed literally everything, and I'll even say like Jurassic World showed a fair amount actually of the movie too. Do you think that that would be a problem with Assassin's Creed? Like the first trailer, I think it did a great job. It didn't show too much, but the same was with Batman. They released their first trailer. It didn't show too much, and it was a great first trailer. But then their second one with Doomsday and Wonder Woman and all that, that just totally just showed everything.
That's how they have to approach the second trailer, though. They can't show too much. They can change some of the narration. They can show a lot of the old in the same scenes. They can give it to us in an order that kind of expands upon what's going on in the present more. They can show some new stuff from the present. They can expand upon that, but they have to hide a lot of those other details that save stuff for the movie. It's like those trailers for comedies that come out. They put all the good jokes in the trailer. You laugh at it at the trailer. You think, I really want to see that movie. You go to see the movie, and those are the only good jokes that were in the trailer, and you get really disappointed after. But they already got your money. You fell for the trailer trick, right?
I would hope Ubisoft would be a lot smarter.
They can't do it because this is not a comedy. They really have to think about it. They're building off their Assassin's Creed fan base, which is nowhere near as big as Batman or Superman. Those people were sold by the trailer. They wanted to go see it, and everything was in the trailer. They thought this is going to be spectacular, and that trailer sold them because of how big their fan base is, because of how much money the company would make by showing everything that they did show. That got all the hype going. But Assassin's Creed, we know pretty much everything about the games. We're interested in seeing what they do different, and it's how good, how quality-wise, how video game to movie adaptation this turns out. That's what's selling us. So the more professional, the more quality they show in the trailers, that's what's going to sell me. Maybe that's going to sell like everyone, but they can show some new stuff in trailer 2 and still keep a lot hidden and still regain hype, I think. So what are your final thoughts then?
Gosh, I am really looking forward to it because I'm always a diehard fan for Assassin's Creed. The 35%, 65% thing that we've talked about for most of this cast has me a little bit not on the edge. That's a poor choice of words. I would love to see more of the past because being in the past, that's what draws me in. And especially when it comes to movies, there's not a lot of movies that take place in history with medieval and all that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, from the gameplay perspective, the games were all about the past. That's what brings in the player to control a past character with the medieval weaponry and stuff. That's always fun. For the movie, my final thoughts on that is focusing on the present. That kind of a storyline is going to work for the film.
I agree. I definitely
And that's
agree.
what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the whole thing. Looking forward to a second trailer if that's going to come out. And I'm definitely going to go see that movie.
December 21st. On that
Apocalypse
doomsday.
Day.
Your Apocalypse Day. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll just wrap it up now. That was a pretty good podcast. I hope all of you guys enjoyed it. This is our second episode for Geeks Creed, and we'll hopefully get a couple more out, all in time for the Assassin's Creed movie. Check us out. Assassin's Creed Universe is my own Facebook page that I run. It has tons of content, up to date, all about the Assassin's Creed movie, the next game coming out in 2017. And then check out our main podcast group, GeekVerse Podcast. We're on Facebook, and we're also on Twitter, GeekVerse Cast, and we're also on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, and GeekVersePodcast.com for all up-to-date gaming, geek content to your heart's content. Have a good night or day.
Have a good night.
Yeah.